Complete Sentence, Unit 3. What is a complete sentence? A complete sentence is an independent clause. A complete sentence contains a subject, or at least one noun we can call it, a verb or an action word, a complete thought. Like all these nouns and action words should make a complete thought. An example to complete sentence is, the smelly dog ate my shoe. So, the smelly old dog is a subject here. Ate is an action word or a verb. My shoe gives the sentence a complete thought. How do we recognize a complete sentence? So, a complete sentence has three characteristics. The very first is, it begins with a capital letter, and it should always end with a period or a full stop, a question mark, or else an exclamation point. In addition to this, it should always have a main subject or an independent subject and a verb which expresses the complete thought. Subject, verb, and the complete sense or complete thought makes the main clause. What is a fragment sentence? A fragment sentence is just opposite to a complete sentence. So we can also call a fragment sentence an incomplete sentence. One or more parts of the complete sentence are missing when one or more parts of a complete sentence are missing, it is called a fragment sentence. Fragments are phrases or dependent clauses. Phrases, what are phrases? Group of words with or without subject, or when the verb is missing, that is called a phrase. Whereas dependent clause has a verb and subject but cannot stand on its own, and it begins with a dependent word. How do we identify a fragment sentence or incomplete sentence? Firstly, when we look at a sentence, we should ask ourselves that is there a verb in the sentence? So we need to identify a verb in the sentence. If there is a verb, then we'll move to the next step, and if there is no verb in the sentence, then it is definitely a fragment. So if there is verb in the sentence, then we move to the next step, which asks us if we can identify a subject in the sentence. So if we are not able to identify a subject, we'll shift it to the category of a fragment. But yes, if we are able to identify the subject, then we'll move to the next step. So the next step starts. So we have already identified in the previous slide that the sentence which is in front of us is having a verb and a subject both. Now we have to look whether the group of the words which are verb and subject giving it a complete thought. If they are giving it a complete thought, it would be a complete sentence. If it is not giving it a complete thought, it would be a fragment. Usually a fragment begins with or starts with the words like because, when. So it becomes easier to identify a fragment if it is starting with because or when. Thank you. Complete sentence. Let's see an example where we can easily distinguish between a fragment and a complete sentence. The example one says, spilling the hot spaghetti sauce over his new shoe. So if we look into this sentence, we can easily see that spilling, the word spilling is a verb. Whereas we are not able to find, after finding the verb, we are not able to find the main clause where there should be a subject and then a subject following the verb. So we are not able to find a main clause here. So it is simply, we can say it is a fragment because there is a main clause missing. If we look at the example 2, Ben grabbed the pot handle with his bare hands, spilling the hot spaghetti sauce all over his new shoes. So here the sentence starts with Ben grabbed the pot handle with his bare hands, and there is the second part of the sentence which says spilling the hot spaghetti sauce all over his new shoes. So we can easily find, first we have to see the verb is there, spilling, then we'll look for the main clause or the subject in the sentence, which could be seen in the first part of the sentence, Ben grabbed the pot handle with his bare hand. So we can easily say that the example 2 is a complete sentence. Thank you. This was complete sentence from Unit 3, Chapter 1.